From a guy who looked like the future of the quarterback position.
Wentz stays on his feet, gets it off, and it's a touchdown. Wentz lofts it. Touchdown!
To a linebacker so good, he was a lock for the Hall of Fame. These guys had everything until it all fell apart. Today we're looking at some of the biggest nosedives in NFL history, and this is actually a part 2, so I will link part 1 at the end if you'd like to stick around and enjoy that. Back in 2017, Carson Wentz looked like he was about to become a legitimate superstar.
Wentz trying to convert on 4th down, and what a catch by Jeffrey!
After a solid rookie year with 3,782 yards and 16 touchdowns, he made a massive jump in year number 2. He had 3,296 yards, 33 touchdown passes, and only 7 interceptions despite missing the final 3 weeks of the year. A lot of people had him as an MVP favorite.
Carson Wentz, and it's clear. Tom Brady's clearly second, and Russell Wilson's breathing down both of their necks, but right now it's Carson Wentz.
And you could see why. Despite the injury, he still had 1 more touchdown pass and 1 less interception than Tom Brady did that year. Wentz was a mobile quarterback who could make plays with his legs and even looked like a better pick than Jared Goff at the time, who had been taken 1 pick before him in the 2016 draft. But then came week 14 against the Rams. Wentz threw for 291 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 43-35 road win that locked up the NFC East for the Eagles. The problem is that he left with what turned out to be a torn ACL. Philly went on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles at the helm, and a lot of people think that this is the exact moment that flipped everything for Wentz, but it's a little more complicated than that. He actually bounced back pretty well. In 2018, he was decent despite missing 5 games, and in 2019, he actually carried the Eagles to the playoffs with over 4,000 passing yards, which was the only time in franchise history a guy has reached that mark. And get this, he did it with no receiver having more than 500 yards. His running back Miles Sanders had 509, and then his tight end Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert both topped 500, but there were no actual wide receivers to do it. That might be one of the craziest stats that I've ever heard. The trouble came in the playoffs that year. Jadeveon Clowney knocked him out of the game, and after that hit, that's when everything really did fall apart. In 2020, Wentz completely collapsed. He went 3-8-1 as a starter in just 12 games, threw a league-leading 15 interceptions, and took 50 sacks. Since then, it's been a tour of the NFL. Indianapolis, Washington, Los Angeles, Kansas City. He's only 32 years old right now, and it's pretty wild to think just how far he's fallen. And speaking of huge drop-offs, can you remember when Jamal Adams was one of the most feared safeties in the league?
That's a guy who loves football, and that's a guy who on game day you don't want to be in his way.
The guy was absolutely awesome, and he made 3 straight Pro Bowls from 2018 to 2020, making first-team All-Pro once and second-team twice.
Carr got rid of it and hit almost immediately.
He played with incredible energy and was a real leader on defense. The Seahawks were so convinced that he was a game changer that they traded for him, and once his rookie contract was up, made him the highest paid safety in the NFL with a 4-year, $70 million deal. In 2020, his first season in Seattle, Adams put up 83 tackles and 9.5 sacks.
Jamal Adams is the Swiss Army knife, so there's no question of what his ability is as this team is trying to rebuild that Legion of Boom.
9.5 sacks from a safety is just crazy production from that position. But then the injuries started piling up. In 2021, he tore his labrum against the 49ers in Week 13 and missed the rest of the year. The following year was even worse. He suffered a torn quad tendon in the second quarter of the Week 1 matchup against Denver and was done for the entire season after just 1 game. Since that monster 2020 season, Adams hasn't recorded a single sack. He's only had 2 picks in the past 4 years, and between 2022 and 2024, he played just 15 games total. The Seahawks released him in 2023, and this past year he bounced from the Titans to the Lions. You can't really call Adams a bust because of what he did early on, but man, he did fall off a cliff due to those injuries. Now the word is that he's hanging up his cleats instead of trying another comeback. When you think about guys who just could flat out catch everything, Michael Thomas was right up there. I mean, this dude had hands like glue, and his connection with Drew Brees was just perfect to watch.
Brees looking his way, and there it is! A new NFL record, reaching across for a touchdown!
He led the NFL in catches 2 straight years, 125 receptions in 2018, and then 149 in 2019. That 2019 season was insane, leading the league with 1,725 receiving yards, 3 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pro selections, and Offensive Player of the Year. The guy was having one of the best starts to a career that we have ever seen. And okay, sure, he was never going to burn anyone with his speed too often, but his route running was so clean that it didn't really matter. He knew exactly how to get open almost all the time. Then 2020 happened. Thomas got hurt in the first game, injuring his ankle. He only played 7 games that year, then missed all of 2021 with more problems. When he finally came back, you could see the glimpses of his old self, but he just wasn't the same player overall. 16 catches for 171 yards in 2022, then 39 catches for 448 yards in 2023. After a toe injury and MCL sprain later in consecutive seasons, the Saints had enough and released him from the team for good. Another guy who lost a step is Chase Young. Sometimes the most hyped up guys coming out of college just never quite figure it out. He was supposed to be the next big thing. I mean, he broke Ohio State's single season sack record with 16.5 in 2019, was a unanimous All-American selection, and even got Heisman Trophy votes as a defensive player, which just doesn't happen too often. His rookie year with Washington looked pretty promising too. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year with 7.5 sacks, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and 44 tackles. Not bad at all for a first-year guy, and it seemed like all that college hype was going to pay off huge. But then 2021 came around, and everything fell apart. Young was having a decent season. 26 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, when he tore his ACL and patellar tendon in Week 10 against Tampa Bay. Since coming back, he's been bouncing all over the league. Washington traded him to San Francisco in 2023, where he managed 7.5 sacks total between both teams. He even got a sack in the Super Bowl, and this past season with New Orleans, he had 5.5 sacks and 31 tackles, but never started in a single game. Watching him play now, he just looks like a completely different player. I mean, those injuries really wrecked his confidence, I feel like. If he just can't run straight past you at the moment, he's not very effective. But we can't talk about running straight past you without bringing up Colin Kaepernick. Over 6 seasons with the 49ers, his numbers were pretty solid. 12,271 yards, 72 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, and his worst passer rating was a 78.5 in 2015. He had some epic moments for sure, but you really can't get away from the fact that his record was 28-30, and teams started really figuring out some big holes in his game. Kaepernick was basically a half field raider. In other words, he could only go through his options on one side of the field. I know nobody was ever going to mistake him for Tom Brady when it came to pure passing, but he was still decent for sure. The trouble is, when Jim Harbaugh left and defenses got wise to his tendencies, Kaepernick just couldn't adjust. And then there was 2016. Kaepernick started kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality and racial injustice. The whole thing just blew up, especially when Trump got involved.
No one's tried to quiet me, and to be honest, it's not something I'm gonna be quiet about.
Kaepernick sued the NFL for keeping him out and settled in 2019. He had a workout that year and another with the Raiders in 2022, but nothing came out of it. Now he's made his own publishing company, is writing books and making documentaries, and to be honest with you guys, I still think he's better than, a handful of quarterbacks in the league, so he could still get a spot as a starter if it were me. Okay, if you're looking for a guy who had all the tools to be a future Hall of Famer, Navorro Bowman is your guy. This guy was a monster who made first-team All-Pro 4 times. And the crazy part is, one of those came in 2015, right after he missed all of the 2014 season with a torn ACL and MCL. Playing next to Patrick Willis, these two were part of possibly the nastiest linebacker duo that we have ever seen.
Inside linebacker, number 52, Patrick Willis, and he come out and get on that one knee and just He get me going.
Today, we are gladiators, man. We gotta play like it. Let's fight like brothers, man. Hey, divided we fall, together we rise.
The sad thing is, Bowman's body basically gave up on him even though his talent was still there. Going from a torn knee to eventually tearing his Achilles meant he lost a step. When he came back in 2017, you could tell that Father Time and all those injuries had definitely caught up with him. When he got benched, Bowman was not having it and let everybody know, leading the 49ers to cut him. He finished the year with Oakland, 127 tackles between both teams, then he sat out 2018 and retired in 2019 with 798 tackles, 14 sacks, and 5 picks in 7 years. These days, he's become a coach, teaching the next generation of guys how to do it with the Chargers. You know the 40-yard dash record Chris Johnson set at the Combine? The second he ran that time, you just knew this guy was going to be different. I mean, he was stupid fast. The kind of speed where everybody else looks like they've been running through mud. Even as a rookie sharing carries with Lendale White in that smash and dash offense, he still put up 1,228 yards and 9 touchdowns. But 2009 was when CJ2K became a legend. The guy rushed for 2,006 yards, scored 14 rushing touchdowns, and led the league with 2,509 yards from scrimmage. That record still stands to this day. Only Marshall Faulk has ever hit 2,400, and there's been just 11 seasons in NFL history where players have over 2,300. CJ2K was the ultimate volume guy. You hand him the ball 25 times, he'd get stuffed on maybe 15 of them, and every now and then he's gonna break one to the house. If he ever got even a crack of daylight, the guy was gone. We haven't really seen anyone like that since. The whole Adrian Peterson versus CJ2K rivalry was really something to watch. It kind of reminded me of Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith going at it. Unfortunately, he started going downhill in 2011 when he held out for that big contract. He became the highest paid back in the league, but barely hit 1,000 yards. Then he really fell off in 2014 with the Jets. Just 663 yards in 16 games, the first time that he ever went under 1,000. And the guy never played a full season after that. Shawn Marman is another guy who came into the league ready to destroy people. He was basically shot out of a cannon from day one. That lights out nickname was perfect because that's exactly what he did to quarterbacks. Just wipe them out. 10 sacks as a rookie was already good, but then what happened in year 2 was just stupid. The guy led the entire league with 17 sacks despite missing 4 games. Let that sink in. He sat out a quarter of the season and still had more sacks than everybody else in football. His best game that year was against Seattle in week 16, where he got 3.5 sacks to help the Chargers win at 20-17. And the next season, another 12.5 sacks. So we're talking 39.5 sacks in his first 42 games, which is crazy good production, and he made the Pro Bowl all 3 years. He was part of those loaded Chargers teams that felt like they should have really won a Super Bowl. I mean, they had LaDainian Tomlinson, Michael Turner, and Darren Sproles, and that's just the backfield. Then in 2008, Marman played 1 game before a knee injury that needed surgery knocked him out for the year. And we can't ignore the PED case that got him suspended for those 4 games in 2006. Those 2 problems together basically nuked what could have been a Hall of Fame career. These days, he's kept the Lights Out nickname going. He just created his own MMA promotion, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. But I'll tell you what, Dalvin Cook's drop-off is even crazier. We're talking about a dude who was already a beast in college, putting up 5,399 yards from scrimmage and 48 touchdowns in 3 years at Florida State. Back-to-back 20 touchdown seasons as well. Then in the NFL, his first game of 2017, Cook broke Adrian Peterson's rookie record with 127 rushing yards. Then, boom, he tears his ACL against Detroit in week 4 and he's done for the year. 2018 was another injury-filled mess, but from 2019 to 2022, the guy was unstoppable. 6,423 yards from scrimmage, 46 total touchdowns over those 4 Pro Bowl years.
What he does on the field is his jaw dropping.
Here's Cook, bouncing it, end zone, what a start.
The Vikings loved him, but when they asked him to take a pay cut in June of 2023, Cook said no thanks and then got cut. That's when things completely went off the rails for him. In 2023, he started just one game out of 15, had only 214 rushing yards and no touchdowns. This is a guy who used to score for fun, and suddenly he couldn't even sniff the end zone. The past year with Dallas was even worse, 8 carries for 20 yards total. Since leaving Minnesota, he's been with the Jets, Ravens, and Cowboys, and you just can tell something's really wrong. The quick cuts are gone, there's no burst through the holes, and he can't bounce anything outside anymore. It's crazy to think that he was only 27 years old in that last season with the Vikings. That should have been his absolute prime, not the beginning of the end. But there's one guy that's fallen off even faster than Cook. 3 first-team All-Pros and 1 second-team in just 4 years.
Hey, we gotta find a way to get a takeaway. We gotta find a way.
He attacks the ball like I have never seen before.
The ball's everything, man.
Yes, sir. About the ball. Something we take pride in every day. We talk about take a punch at the ball.
Fitzpatrick throws the interception at the 35-yard line. Darius Leonard with the ball. Darius Leonard to the end zone.
His rookie year in 2018 was wild. He led the whole league with 163 tackles, forced 4 fumbles, knocked down 8 passes, and picked off 2 more. That Week 2 game against Washington was very good. 19 tackles and a sack. Then the very next week, he had 13 tackles and 2 sacks. In his first 33 games, Leonard had more takeaways than any other linebacker in football. The guy was on a straight Hall of Fame track, and man, imagine if Andrew Luck had stayed healthy to play with him after that rookie year.
He just makes those special high-effort plays that an ordinary linebacker cannot make.
But then Shaq's body started breaking down. After 2021, he needed back surgery to fix some nerve issues with his disc. 2022 was a disaster. He missed the first 3 weeks, came back in week 4 and immediately got a concussion and broke his nose, missed 3 more games, and then his back started acting up again and he was done in November. He signed with Philly in 2023 but didn't even play in 2024. At least he got paid by the Colts before it all fell apart though. Now he's coaching high school ball in South Carolina, a pretty quiet ending for a guy who looked like a lock for Canton. So today we've had injuries, bad coaching decisions, sometimes just bad timing. That's all it really takes to derail what looks like a guaranteed Hall of Fame career. But I want to know what you guys think. Which of these players had the most potential? Let me know in the comment section down below, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And like I said in the beginning, here is part 1 if you want to check that out.